What is up, YouTube? That's it here, bringing you guys the next episode of my top 5 best Pokemon for every type. Today, we're going to be looking at water types. Water types are probably the best actual, types in Gen 1. There are so many water types, and one of the best things about water types is they share so many other common types with other really defensive and offensive typings. Like, there's a lot of psychic waters, and flying waters, and poison waters, and just regular water typing is still just really good. If we look at the history of water types are almost known for being like some of the bulkiest, best walls in the game, and in Let's Go Pikachu, there's actually like a lot of good sweepers. So one thing we're going to talk about today, when we're talking about these Pokemon, we're going to be talking about the role that each Pokemon fits in the team. A lot of people left comments on the bug video saying like, really good video, but I want to know, how can I use this Pokemon? Is this a sweeper? Is this a wall? What's this thing's job? So today, we're going to be talking about that as we talk about the movesets. Again, thank you guys so much for leaving those comments yesterday in the bug video. Again, let me know if you guys stay till the end, if your list matches mine, leave those comments, let's get a discussion going. That's the main thing. I'm really trying to help you guys out, and I can't help you guys out unless we actually have a discussion. So, without further ado, we're going to start this list up. There are so many water types. When we looked at the bug video, there's only 6 bugs, 6 fully evolved bugs. I think there's 10 or 11 fully evolved water types in this game, so making this into a top 5 was actually pretty hard. I don't know if anyone's list is actually going to be exactly the same as mine, and I challenge you guys to at least make your list. Look up what water Pokemon in the Dex and try to actually see if you can make a top 5 and see if it actually matches mine. So we're going to go start this off, going to the Pokemon box like I normally do, and we're actually going to be starting things off with Kingler. Sorry, Ditto, maybe in the normal list. But yeah, we're going to be starting things off with my boy Kingler. You guys have seen that I use Kingler, I think, in my most recent team building video with Mega Gengar. It is a great Aerodactyl counter. This thing has a ton of offensive stats. This thing is so, before we get into Kingler, note that I'm using an adamant one. What is Kingler's role? I almost forgot to do it. What is Kingler's role? So, Kingler is not a wall. Kingler can be a sweeper if you're using agility. Kingler can be like a revenge KO. Kingler's actually not that slow. It's actually a 75 base. So, if you were to use the agility set, I just want to talk about some things. Agility, if you're using a Jolly or Speed Nature Kingler, you'll actually be faster than base 130 stuff. So maybe that's something you want, but I really do like the adamant because I don't want Kingler to be a sweeper. I don't want Kingler to be a wall. I don't want Kingler to be a suicide lead. I want Kingler to be like an anti-lead. And you're probably like, that's not even a role. What is that? You're hitting me with these really crazy terms. Well, the reason why I'm using Kingler is if they lead Aerodactyl, if they lead Mewtwo, if they lead Rhydon, I'm countering their lead with this. I'm not trying to sweep anyone out. I'm not trying to wall anyone out. I'm trying to pin people with my anti-lead. The Kingler is only used as an anti-meta Pokemon. And just for that, this thing, look at its stats. This one's level 50, I think. But look at that defense stat. It's so massive. It's crazy. Kingler could be a wall. Bro, you want to run the impish natured Kinglers, that's probably pretty good. But again, I'd really recommend the Adamant or the Jolly if you want to be able to outspeed things like Aerodactyl and things like Mewtwo after an agility. Other than that, just getting one regular agility is going to let you outspeed stuff like, Zapdoses, Charizards, a Alolan Ninetales, Starmies, Gengars. You're going to be able to outspeed all those after one agility. So agility is really good. And so you may be thinking, what are the other moves used on Kingler? Obviously, I really like to use Substitute. Substitute's one of my favorite moves. X-Scissors is really good against those psychic types. Great against stuff like Alakazam, which you can outspeed after an agility. Great against Mewtwo's. But, look at that. Look at this, I have Crabhammer, right? Crabhammer really pins down all those rock ground Pokemon that we're really trying to pin really hard with our Kingler. And X-Scissors beats all the grass types, because it's super effective against them too. So really good offensive coverage. The only move you could potentially cut from this set would probably be the Substitute. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go look at some TMs that Kingler can learn. And I would probably still go with the sub, because you don't always want to use agility, but you do want to set up with something. So as long as you have the agility or the sub, I think you're fine. One of the reasons I have sub is because a lot of the times I'm going to send the Kingler out, and it's going to force them to switch. And because I know they're going to switch, sometimes if I don't think I can KO the thing I think they're going to switch to, I just pop a free sub and then I out trade from there. But things it can learn, obviously going to ice attacks, it's a water type. Most water types go to ice attacks, but since Kingler is a physical attacker, you mostly want to stick with physical attacks. It can learn Brick Break, you don't really need it. Oh, it can learn Dig. you don't really need it. I think the only move you might really want to try using, Facade is usable in case you plan on switching Kingler in on like a status-inducing move, like a, you know, Thunder Wave, Toxic, stuff like that. Again, it gets Ice Punch, sorry, Ice Beam, not Ice Punch, that'd be pretty good. Doesn't get Outrage. There's one move that, like, I thought about using on the Kingler. It was Rock Slide. Rock Slide's the one move you can think about cutting for sub, but, like, what are you hitting with Rock Slide? Like, Zapdoses, you can already hit Aerodactyls with Crab Hammer, and you can already hit, like, Crab Hammer's a base 100 move, guys. Crab Hammer actually has the same amount of damage output as a super effective Rock Slide. So, like, it's the same type of situation with, like, Shadow Ball. You don't really want to use moves that don't do that much. Super Power is a good choice. It's really good against Snorlax. That's one of the only moves I think you can actually think about cutting Substitute for. Again, it doesn't get, like, Taunt. Sorry, yeah, it doesn't get Taunt. Doesn't get Will-O-Wisp. Already has that young X's, or it doesn't get Waterfall. That's one of the reasons why we're using Crab Hammer. And it doesn't even get Poison Jab. So, it doesn't even get Bulk Up. Yeah, the only move I really recommend you putting on Kingler, other than my moveset, is Super Power. So, hopefully this helped you guys get those Kingler movesets. There's going to be a ton of Kingler content coming to this channel over the next couple weeks. Like, Kingler is going to be all over. Like, I love this Pokemon. Like, you know what? Where are we? Like, hold on. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys the best thing about Kingler. There's a little bit of, like, an Easter egg. Not really an Easter egg, but we're going to take Kingler out of the Pokeball, right? This is the best thing about Kingler. Yo. Is there no room in my... There's no room in my house for Kingler. Kingler's too massive. Kingler's too massive. I think he's too massive, right? Kingler's gonna pop out. Dude, look at this Kingler! Look at it! Look at that! Oh my gosh, it's just my favorite Pokemon because he's on the side. Oh man, this is my favorite Pokemon just to walk around with. Kingler is just the best, and for this reason alone, he's 5th. I mean, not really, but I mean, look at him. I don't walk around with Pokemon out, but I walk around with Kingler out. When in doubt, Kingler out. So Kingler's 5th. So we're going to look at the next Pokemon on the list. Look at the next Pokemon on the list. Again, there's so many good water types in this game, but I actually decided to go with Slowbro for this one. And remember, guys, Slowbro can go Mega, and you're maybe asking that, so what's the role for Slowbro? Well, I'm glad you asked. Slowbro is going to be a wall, and normally Mega Slowbro and Slowbro are physical walls. But one of the cool things that Slowbro gets that a lot of other Pokemon necessarily don't is it gets access to a really cool move in Amnesia. Now, Amnesia is going to sharply raise your special defense stats. So what you're going to do is if you look at Slowbro, huge defense, pretty okay special defense, use an Amnesia, and you're off to the races. You are now an unkillable, like, mega machine. And if we look at the rest of our moveset, we have Amnesia, Rest, so they can't Toxic Stall us. We're going to be able to full heal. Again, all we really need is one Amnesia, and, like, we can just eat Thunderbolts, we can eat Mega Drains, we can eat Shadow Balls, we can eat Dark Pulses. All we need is, like, one Amnesia, and we are unkillable. A couple other people might actually recommend using Calm Mind. That's completely up to you. Calm Mind and Amnesia work very similar. I'm not about going for the big damage. I'm about going for the wall play. Also note that I have Scald and Psychic. Like, I can sometimes put a Scald on people, get the burn, and just wall them out. Break the wrist, walk away, guys. Remember, Scald has a 30% chance to burn, and if they're burned, their physical attacks do 50% less damage, which is going to make it so we have, like, the potential to be, like, the bulkiest Pokemon on both sides. Other really cool moves. Slowbro Guts, we're going to get into TMs in just a sec after we talk after Natures. This one is Modest. I would really recommend a bold one or a calm one, but Modest also works. In previous gens, you would like to go like Sassy or Speed Reduced Nature, but since there's no Trick Room, there's not really a reason to do that in this game. The only Pokemon you really want to get Reduced Speed Nature in is stuff like Parasect and Venusaur that use like Spore. But yeah, this is pretty much my Slowbro set. I think it's pretty good. We're going to go into some moves that Slowbro can get. You guys are going to be really, really surprised. Some of the really awesome TMs that Slowbro can learn. Obviously, again, it can learn Blizzard. Ice attacks are always good, especially on water Pokemon. Like, water Pokemon are weak against grass Pokemon. If you know they're going to bring in a grass Pokemon, you can totally go for an ice attack. It's going to be super effective. It's going to be pretty good. Kingler Burk Bait doesn't really need it. A lot of people really like Calm Mind over Amnesia, and I'm probably going to see a lot of people talking in the comments about Calm Mind, and if you're one of those people, please leave a comment. I'd love to have a discussion on Calm Mind versus Amnesia and see if we can work something out here. It can't learn Dark Pulse, not that important. Can't learn Dragon Pulse. Horn Dig, that's kind of cool. Can't learn D-Gleam, can't learn Earthquake. Remember, guys, we are a special attacker. Want to stick to special attacks, and one of the really cool things about it is it can learn Fire Blast. Slowbro can also learn Fire Blast and Fire Punch, and I want to take a second to talk about the the use of Fire Blast and Fire Attacks over Blizzard, because both of these things, or just Fire Attacks versus Ice Attacks, because this thing can learn Flamethrower and Ice Beam. Let's talk about it, because a lot of people have brought this to my attention. So let's see, what does Fire Attacks hit? Fire Attacks hit Grass types, Steel types, Bug types, you know, a bunch of stuff like that. And what do Ice type attacks hit? They hit Ground types, Dragon types, and grass types, right? Ground types, grass types, and dragon types, and flying types, right? So I would actually say a lot of the things that you're actually planning on hitting with ice attacks, you also hit for super effective damage on fire attacks, barring Steel. Steel is like the only real Steel and Bug, but, you know, how many Steel and Bug type Pokemon do you see? And out of all those Bug type Pokemon and all those Steel type Pokemon, how many of those Pokemon also have shared weaknesses to, you know, something else that Slowbro has? Like a Alolan Dugtrio, for example, is a Steel ground. You can just Scald that, or Blizzard it, or, you know, use the Ice Beam. It's neutral, but it's super effective weak to Scald. Now let's think about other Steel types. Magneton is a Steel Electric. You know, Fire Blast would be pretty good for that. You know, that's one of the few situations which you probably want the Steel. Melmetal's a Steel, you might want Fire Blast for that. If Melmetal's a huge problem, you can go with the Fire Blast. But let's talk about Blizzard. And again, when I talk about Blizzard, I'm talking about Ice Beam as well. They both do the same thing, they're just next to each other on the TM list. Ice attacks, really good against Dragonite, really good against Aerodactyl, Pidgeot, Zapdos. And think about, like, all the Venusaurs and Parasects and Tangelas and Executors that you're going to be hitting with the same fire attacks, you're still hitting with the grass attacks. Sorry, you're still hitting with the ice attack. So in this situation, if you have the choice to ever use a fire attack or an ice attack and you don't stab either of them, you should always go with the ice attack in this gen. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think fire type attacks are absolutely needed because there's only one Pokemon who's 4 times weak to fire, and that's Alolan Sandslash. So you're not really ever going to need the fire attacks. If the ice attack is an option, the only other situation is if your team's really, really weak to Melmetal and there's like a calc involved where you can like 1 or 2 shot Melmetal with said fire attack. So hopefully you guys got that little rant. I know it was a little bit off topic, but let me know what you guys think about that in the comments if you haven't yet. So I really recommend using ice attacks over fire attacks if you have the option, because they do pretty much the same thing. Other than that, we're still going down the list. Yeah, there's the Flamethrower. Like I said, it learns Flamethrower. It can learn Foul Play. Foul Play is a pretty decent move for those who don't know what it does. The user targets the power against it. The power turns the target against it. The higher the target's attack stat, the greater the damage it deals. So this move, it's not really... It's hard to imagine. You can kind of almost imagine like your opponent hitting themselves with their own attack stat with a base 95 power move. It's really hard to explain it, but this is really good against like really physical Pokemon. Like this is really good against like Mega Mewtwo X. This is really good against Mega Beedrill. It's a one-shot against Mega Beedrill. I don't really recommend it on Slowbro, but it's definitely an option for that bulky Slowbro play. A lot of Pokemon that are really defensive can use Foul Play and use your opponent's own strengths against them. It's a really decent way to do it. There's the Ice Beam, just like I said. It can learn Widescreen, but you might as well just use Amnesia. No Mega Drain. Obviously, we've got the Psychic, can get Reflect too. And let's see, any cool other moves this thing gets. We got the Scald. Can't learn Sludge Bomb. Can learn Shadow Ball. Maybe you want to put Shadow Ball if you're having a problem with the, like, Slowbro's a great check to Mewtwo a lot of the time. Mewtwo's a Psychic type, and, you know, if you get one Amnesia off and they switch in the Mewtwo to deal with you, you're just going to be able to out-trade them with Shadow Ball. So maybe you want to put Shadow Ball on there. It's definitely an idea. Can't learn Stealth Rock. Can learn Sub. And let's see. You can learn Teleport. I'm going to talk about Teleport in just a sec. Can learn Surf, but I think Scald's better. And that's pretty much it, right? It can learn Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave's definitely an option on a lot of things. Unfortunately, Slowbro's still too slow to really capitalize off the Thunder Wave. But again, if you're having a problem with like Mewtwo's and other really fast like Uber Pokemon, Thunder Wave is a great way to just cripple those Pokemon, switch out, and then you'll be completely fine. So maybe Thunder Wave really works for you, but we're going to talk about Thunderbolt here as well. The user switches places with a different Pokemon instantly using telekinetic power. You may be thinking, that's Teleport's terrible. It's never done anything in competitive battles before. Teleport now works kind of like U-Turn does, but it's at like a -5 base speed. So the way it works is, if you have like a sweeper and you're messing me up, I can switch my Slowbro, mitigate that damage because I'm a wall, and then you attack me again, or you switch, or literally you do anything. But if I cast Teleport, I can wait to see what you do, and since I am using a -5 speed priority move, I will be going last. I'll be able to soak some more damage, and then be able to switch to the correct Pokemon safely without taking any damage, and then we'll actually be able to deal with the situation. So if you were to use like a teleport set, I really recommend like Thunder Wave. Switch in Slowbro, pop a Thunder Wave, neuter them, and then use teleport safely. So it's things like this that really make Slowbro one of the best water types in the game. You may be thinking, all the praise I'm giving this Pokemon, it should be ranked much higher, but that's just how good the rest of the water types are in this game. Like, there's so many good water types. And also, guys, if you guys have any more questions about Teleport, if I didn't do a good job explaining it, please leave a comment in the comment section below. But we're gonna be moving on up into the third Pokemon. You guys have seen me use this one before. It's gonna be my boy Lord Helix. And also we're gonna be adding in a honorary mention. Third place tie, Cloyster. These Pokemon do exactly the same thing, in my opinion. They are both Shell Smash users. So we're gonna briefly talk about both of them, and I just feel that these Pokemon are so similar that I feel it would be a waste to like dedicate 2 slots to them, because they're both that good, and you know, they both deserve to get talked about. So we're gonna talk about Omastar first. Note that this Omastar is the one that I used in my How to Beat Mega Mewtwo video, and it's not awesome. Like, if we look, I have Bold Nature, which is incorrect, and we have like okay stats. You know, they're not amazing. This is my Pokemon Go. You see, I got it from Pokemon Go. But yeah, Omastar, I'd really recommend a modest Omastar, or like a timid Omastar. But again, you could also go with bold or calm. And all of these things also work for Cloyster. Cloyster has a little bit more options than Omastar, but I think Omastar has better typing overall. The rock typing and the fact that it's actually a pretty bulky Pokemon lets it actually safely set up a Self Smash. Like, Omastar can eat a Thunderbolt. Omastar can eat an Earthquake. Like, Omastar can eat all the attacks. Just once. It can eat one of pretty much every single type of attack, unless it's like a grass attack. And even if it was like a Razor Leaf, I could probably eat it. But anyways, we're gonna look at the moveset here. This is the moveset I think you should be using. Should be using Shell Smash, Ice Beam, and then I have Surf and Hydro Pump. The main reason why I have both of these is because you need Hydro Pump after a Shell Smash to be able to KO like the really big Pokemon. Even after a Shell Smash, like a Surf might not KO something like a Zapdos or like another bulky wall Pokemon like an Alolan Muck. But with Hydro Pump, the fact that using a base 110 move, you can go for those really big KOs. And the fact that we're using the Surf over Scald is because, again, I'm trying to pick up KOs here. I don't want to leave you at 1 and burn you. And since Scald is an 80 base power, Surf's a 90, 10 base power actually makes a lot. It makes a big difference. You guys would be surprised when KOing things like Mewtwo. A +4 Omastar will KO Mewtwo with Surf, versus a +4 Omastar with Scald won't KO like a Mega Mewtwo Y with Surf. So, sorry, with Scald. Like, Scald won't do it, Surf does. It makes a really big difference. You guys have seen it in the How to Beat Mega Mewtwo video before, but this is Omastar. Again, it's a really good Pokemon, and this Pokemon can win. You can sweep people out of the game. It's one of the best sweepers in the game. We're going to move on to Cloyster now, and you know what, actually, while we're here, I'm going to talk about the roles these Pokemon do, and I'm going to talk about, I always forget, like, what it's actually doing. Shell Smash is what this Pokemon's about. The user breaks its shell, which lowers defense and special defense. You're going to lower your own defensive stats, right? But you're going to sharply raise your attack, special attack, and speed. You become one of the best sweepers in the game. This is a sweeper. This is a type of Pokemon. This is a setup mon. Once you get one Shell Smash off, you are ready to sweep the game out. And remember, Shell Smash raises your attack and special attack. So if I wanted to, since I'm a rock type, I could technically be mixed. Like, I could have Rock Slide on here. I could have, like, I think we're gonna look at some TMs it gets, but I could have, like, Waterfall, I'm sure. I could be physical or special, and that's what we're gonna be looking at Cloyster for. Cloyster's actually a little bit better than Omastar in most situations. Like I just said, I like Omastar's typing a little bit better. I like its stats a little bit better. We're not gonna look at Cloyster's nature, but I will talk about what natures you should use your Cloyster as. Cloyster should probably be some sort of speed nature, I would say. Speed nature on Cloyster with, and I'm not going to say jolly or timid, because you want to be mixed with Cloyster. You want to be able to be, like, hasty or, like, naive, so you can go for, Surfs and, like, poison jabs and stuff like that. We're going to look at Cloyster going a ton of TMs, and it also gets moves like Twin Needle and stuff like that. Like, Cloyster's really good. It can learn so many moves. We're going to go into the TM part of it. And again, like, my Cloyster is the placeholder. I really wish I had a competitive Cloyster, but unfortunately I don't. So we're going to look at some of the moves these things can learn. Obviously, they can all learn Ice attacks, Brick Break they can't learn, Calm Mind they don't need it. No one of these can learn Drill Run, yeah. They're pretty limited so far, right? Can't learn EQ, Can't learn any of the fire attacks, but we're going to start seeing some pretty cool stuff soon. I swear, I promise you we will. They can both learn Headbutt, lol, JK. So yeah, Ice Beam's really good. You want Ice Beam on probably both of those. Note that Cloyster is an Ice type, so it's going to stab it. It's pretty good, and it's a special attack. Both these Pokemon are preferably special attackers, but, you know, Cloyster has a much higher base attack than Omastar does, so it can technically do both. They can't learn Outrage, they can't learn Mega Drain, that'd be pretty cool. No Play Rough, no Psychic, Cloyster can't learn Scald. Cloyster can only learn Surf, that's something to note. Omastar is a Rock type, so it's going to stab the Rock Slide. And we're going to start Cloyster can self-destruct. I've seen people use self-destruct on Cloyster. Sometimes they get taunted and they can't set up a Shell Smash, and they just pop that self-destruct. It's hilarious. So, we're starting to get down into the thick of it. Sub's always an option. I think it's funny that Cloyster can't use Stealth Rocks because, like, it's one of the... It used to be, like, the setup mon. It got, like, spikes and rapid spin back in the day. But, Omastar can't use Stealth Rocks. I don't really agree with it because, you want to be using that Shell Smash. They both can learn Surf. It's really, really good. I didn't even know Cloyster could learn Teleport. They can't learn that. Can't learn that. Can't learn that. Both get Toxic, lol. We're starting to get into the really good moves, though. Yep, so, obviously, like I said, Cloyster can't get Waterfall, right? So, like, that's how you want to be mixed. Like, you want to have Surf as your big water attack. You can have, like, Ice Beam. You can have, like, Poison Jab. There's so many cool things. But yeah, Poison Jab, that's the big one. Poison Jab's the big one. Cloyster also gets Twin Needle, so like, you can be really good against like Mewtwo's. If you get like a Shell Smash off, you can Twin Needle will one-shot Mewtwo's and Alakazams. Poison Jab will one-shot a lot of Grass types, all the Fairy types. You know, Surf will KO all the pretty much anything, like Fire types, Ground types, stuff like that. Ice Beam's really good at dealing with Grass types, Flying types as well. And with these type of Pokemon, you have the ability to be mixed. And it's really up to you how you want to do it. And that's why I felt like, I know that covering 2 Pokemon at once is like a lot of work, but the ability for them to do so many different things while still having technically the exact same playstyle means they both get to tie for 3rd place on the list. So we're going to move on to the next Pokemon. We are down to the top 2. We're down to the top 2, and I've only really used 1 Mega Pokemon. There's still a lot of good water types in this game, but we're going to be using Gyarados, and you guys probably think like, how is Gyarados, like, the best Mega in the game? I actually think, other than, like, obviously, like, Mewtwo and stuff, I think Gyarados might be the best Mega in the game. Let's actually think about it. Like, it's the most versatile. It can fit into literally any team, and it's the best Dark type. It's the best Dark type, right? Let's talk about Dark types. Muck's the only, like, challenge to it, but I think Gyarados is the best. Mega Gyarados is the best Dark type in the game. But we're gonna check the summary here. Gyarados. Note that I'm using a Jolly one, and a lot of people really like that Adamant one. You only really needed the Jolly one for back in the day. If you had Dragon Dance back in the day, which you can't get in this game, a +1 speed Gyarados would be able to outspeed things like Mewtwo, things like Aerodactyl, things like Jolteon. If you had Dragon Dance, which is in the game, so you don't technically need Jolly anymore. I have a Jolly. You see, I got mine from Pokemon Go, and look at this. Look at this. This is a Pokemon Go Gyarados, and hold on. Where's my stats? Look at that. That's a Pokemon Go Pokemon. That's ridiculous. But yeah, so again, mine's Jolly, but I haven't had a single problem with it being Jolly. Not a single problem. I outspeed so many things. I catch so many people off guard. I haven't low-rolled or not killed anything. So Jolly or Adamant work great for this Pokemon. But I've also seen people use really bulky sets with like Careful as well. So those are all really good options. The way that you're going to play Gyarados is more of a sweeper, but I almost want to say Gyarados is kind of like a Swiss Army knife because it can do a lot of things. It can be like a late game sweeper. It can be like a mid-range pseudo setup mon. It can be a wall breaker of sorts. There's a lot of different things Gyarados can do. Gyarados is going to predominantly be a physical Pokemon here. So we're going to check out Gyarados. I always go out. I'm so sorry. I always go back out and look at it. But yeah, we're going to take a look at Gyarados here. Note that this is my moveset. It's totally up to your interpretation. The only 2 moves you're going to actually want to keep on this thing if you're Mega is Waterfall and Crunch, because Crunch, once you Mega Evolve, you gain Dark typing, you lose Flying typing, and being able to stab that Crunch, this is just like the strongest Dark Pokemon in the game, and it's an absolute monster. Note that I really do think you need Taunt on this Pokemon, especially if you're Jolly. You're so fast. Stopping people from being able to set up is so good. No Stealth Rocks, no Thunder Waves, no Sleep Powders, no Leech Sheets, no nothing like that. You're not going to Agility, you're not going to Calm Mind, you're just going to get taunted, and you're going to deal with it, and it's no Toxics either, no nothing. Like, Gyarados comes out, uses the taunt. It's one of the most underrated moves in the game, and it's all what singles is about. And note that I have sub on mine. A lot of the time, what's going to happen is I'm going to lead Gyarados, and I'm going to taunt you, and you're like, oh no, I can't use Toxic. Oh no, I can't use Stealth Rocks. No, I can't do anything. And you're like, well, since I can't do anything, I'm going to switch. And on that switch, you pop a substitute, subs up, and then from there, what they switch to, you can two-shot with Waterfall or Crunch, and you're most likely going to be faster than them. So what's going to happen is you have a sub up. You're going to go for a Waterfall or a Crunch. Waterfall, remember, Waterfall has a % chance to flinch. You're going to do about half. They're going to break your sub, and then you're going to KO them again. So, effectively, Taunt is the move that set all that in motion. Taunt lets you get the free sub. The free sub lets you KO their Pokemon at the cost of 25% of your health. And then, now, if you think about it, even if they were to send that first thing back out again, now they're out a Pokemon. They're out the thing that they thought was supposed to check your Gyarados. It's incredibly good, and Gyarados is one of the best Pokemon stat-wise. It has just enough speed, great base stats all around, decent like attack, great HP. This Pokemon is just amazing. It's amazing. We're gonna look at some moves that it can actually learn. It can learn like almost any move. Like seriously, guys, this thing can learn. This thing is like an HM like machine. It can learn so many moves. Can't learn Poison Jab, can't learn Bulk Up, no Mega Horn, but it can learn like all the special attacks in the game. I've seen a lot of people use Thunder Wave Gyarados, and that is really, really good. Again, I'd really recommend that if you're going like an Impish or Careful Gyarados, and we really want to stay away from special attacks on Gyarados. I know it's gonna look so juicy. You'd be like, the best Gyarados counter is Thunder Gyarados to Thunder their Gyarados. It's actually not. Your special attack, unfortunately, is just way too low to justify putting almost any special attacks on Gyarados. But I will say this. This is a little bit off topic, but in 2017, I went to a regional, and I got top 16 in this regional. Now, this is a VGC regional. This is one of like the official Nintendo tournaments. Like hundreds of people, big money. Like I got top 16. I got top 16. I got a lot of money from this. And the team that I used a Choice Scarf Gyarados with Flamethrower specifically. Only reason was to outspeed and one-shot Kartana. So there are certain situations which you can use special attacks, and I'm not going to say that you shouldn't, but you have to know, you have to have a really good reason to do it. You got to have a really good reason, and you know, my reason got me a good amount of money, and yeah, that was a really good time. It was such a cool thing. Like, it was so unique, and it was definitely a that's a +1 strat. But yeah, we're going to try and stay away from special attacks if we can. Thunder Wave is really good though. Thunder Wave is like a setup attack. So like some people might cut the sub for Thunder Wave, might cut the taunt for Thunder Wave. If you don't plan on using Mega, you could cut the Crunch for Thunder Wave. That all works. It'd be really cool if it got U-turn. Toxic's another option. Again, Surf's a special attack, not gonna use it. Already got the taunt. No teleport. No thank you Thunderbolt. No superpower. Already got the sub. No rocks. Let's see. Shadow Ball doesn't even learn it. Sludge Bomb doesn't even learn it. Scald, we don't want that. Roost, even though we're a flying type, unfortunately, we can't learn it. Same goes for Rock Slide. That'd be pretty nice. It can use Rest. Back in the day, I used to use my favorite Gyarados set from like Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6 was actually a full HP Special D Careful Gyarados with Dragon Dance, Rest, Sleep Talk, Waterfall. That's my favorite Gyarados set of all time. And unfortunately, there's no Sleep Talk in this game. There's no Eevees in this game. No Dragon Dance in this game. It's really hard to use it. So I do not recommend Rest on Gyarados, but you know, shoutouts to the play back in the day. No Play Rough, no Psychic. Can learn Reflect. That's kind of cool. You don't really see that often. It can learn Outrage, and I've seen people use Outrage specifically to deal with things like Dragonite and Charizard X. If you want to use Outrage on it over Crunch, you can feel free to do that. I wouldn't really say that that's inherently bad, but it's one of those things, again, you have to have a perfect reason for doing it. Outrage is a 120 base move. With great power comes great responsibility. You don't stab this move, and you get stuck using it for a couple turns. So, like, if you Outrage, I can then switch in something that takes resisted damage from that, or very weakened damage from that, like a really good physical wall, and I can just set up on you. And so you have to be ready for that to happen if you plan on using Outrage. It gets Headbutt, not that great. Same goes for like Ice Beam. This thing can learn so many attacks. Unfortunately, it can't learn Fly, and it doesn't really do anything with its flying typing, and that's why it's so good when it Mega Evolves, because it loses the flying typing, which was totally useless, completely holding it back, only really good for taking reduced damage from fighting and nullification from ground attacks, and then gains like a really offensive dark typing. It's really good. So here's the Flamethrower. Again, you gotta have a good reason. There's no Pokemon other than a Alolan Sandslash that is 4 times weak to Flamethrower, so I don't recommend it in this game, but maybe some of you guys, if you guys are interested in seeing that set, I can give you guys a link, because it's all over YouTube. It was on the official Pokemon stream. It's a pretty big deal. No Fire Punch. It gets Fire Blast. A lot of people like Earthquake on Gyarados. And give me 1 sec. I gotta take a sip of my drink before I go on this huge rant about Earthquake. Alright. So, Earthquake. 100 base power, right? 100 base power. Versus Waterfall. 80 base power. So, let's talk about what you're hitting with Waterfall. Aerodactyls, Rhydons, you know, Nidokings, Nidoqueens, stuff like that. So it's an 80 base power move. And let's not even go into like 4 times Super Effective. Let's just do regular Super Effective. So 80 base power move. Stabbed goes up to 120. Super Effective goes up to 240. 240 base power. Those are the things that you're hitting with Waterfall. Earthquake, on the other hand, is 100 base power. And Super Effective, it goes up to 200. So it's 40 base power weaker than your Waterfall. And so in most situations, 80% at least of the situations in which you would ever use Earthquake, Waterfall is actually just stronger. It's going to be like that for most moves. The only couple scenarios which I can see you may be using an Earthquake are against things that are Electric type. And only Electric type, like Electabuzz, Magneton, which takes 4 times weakness, and like partner Pikachus and Raichus and Jolteons and Electrodes. And again, I don't even know if it KOs all of those. I think it's possible Electrode lives the EQ, but also note that like all those Pokemon, even if you have the percent chance to one-shot with Earthquake, all of those Pokemon can just one-shot you because you're a Gyarados. Like, all those Pokemon are faster than you, all those Pokemon are just going to slap you, unless, other than the Magneton. All those Pokemon are just going to slap you in the face with huge Thunderbolts and Electric attacks, and you're not going to be in for a good time. So, if you're ever thinking about that's a one-choose Earthquake on Gyarados, in this gen, there's nothing like Heatran that takes 4 times weakness to it. You know, again, Alolan Sandslash comes to mind as a Pokemon that takes really big damage to Earthquake. Or just all of Gyarados' moves in general, I guess. But, yeah, more often than not, you're not going to want the Earthquake. Hopefully you learn something there. I feel like the time that I take to talk about these things is actually helping a lot of people. Like, for those of you guys, this is all, you already know this stuff, like, good for you. Like, that's totally awesome. You do not need this hand holding, but there are a lot of people that watch these videos that actually do really benefit from me taking the time to break down like all the reasons why you want to run the specific moves that I recommend for the reasons I recommend them. So yeah, Earthquake, not that optimal on Gyarados if you really take a second to think about it. No D-Gleam, can't learn Dig, it can learn Dragon Pulse, but that's a special attack, so you don't want that. No Drill Run, or it can learn Dark Pulse, again, you don't really want it. If it got access to Calm Mind, it would open up a whole new world of where special Gyarados could be usable, but it can't, so it doesn't. No Brick Break, and you can even Blizzard, but I do not recommend. So those are technically 5 Pokemon. Those are the top 4 because we got 2 third-place ties. There's one Pokemon that beats all of these Pokemon. I wonder if you guys have guessed it. There's probably 2 or 3 water types. You're like, wow, there's a couple that could still technically be number 1. I wonder what it is. I wonder what it is. And I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show you right now what I think is the best water Pokemon. I actually think this is going to be in my top 5 Pokemon in the whole game. It has to be Starmie. Starmie has stood the test of time. If you look at any format of singles, Starmie's been in OU the whole time. This Pokemon has the speed, the special attack, the typing that it needs to succeed. It has the same typing as Slowbro, so it has that great defensive core of Psychic Water, but it uses it so offensively in a completely different way from Slowbro. So we're going to look at my Starmie here. Note that I'm using a modest Starmie, and 9 times out of 10, everyone's going to tell you, that's it, you got to use a timid Starmie. You don't. You just have to tutor your playstyle to what you want. If you want to go fast every time, if you want to outspeed things like, you know, Gengars and Alakazams with your Starmie, that's fine. That's not what my Starmie is supposed to do. My Starmie is a little bit different. Starmie is a very typical sweeper Pokemon. This Pokemon's going to come out late, and it's going to get super effective KOs on all of your opponent's Pokemon when their defenses are down. You're going to be able to one-shot everything after, like, Stealth Rocks with a modest Starmie. So, you know, a lot of people like recommend the timid Starmies, like, you could Psychic their Gengars, or you could, you know, Surf their Alakazam, or stuff like that. Now, I'm more about going for the really big KOs on things after Rocks damage, so let's talk about it. Like, Venusaur, for example, if you are using a modest Starmie, which has a boost to its special attack stat, a Psychic after Stealth Rocks will KO most common Venusaur sets. If you are fighting against, let's just look at more, Dragonite, for example, if I were to use Ice Beam, after Rocks, Ice Beam will KO, versus a careful Dragonite could actually live the Ice Beam if you were timid. So there's a little bit of a role there, but, you know, I've not KO'd before, and that's why I don't use Ice Beam right now, because I'm like, man, I don't like that, but, you know, it wouldn't even be possible if I was timid. Let's talk about a couple other ones. Aerodactyl doesn't get KO'd if you're not using Modest, because I really like using Scald over Surf. And let's talk about some other ones. There was one with Thunderbolt, but I personally am just really used to running a Modest Starmie. I've always liked Modest Starmie, and I really like the boost that you get from the special attack. Also note that, like, a lot of the times, what they're going to do is they're going to switch in to wall your Starmie. And the fact that you're Modest, you're actually going to be doing a lot more damage than they think, especially if they're switching in on you. So it's like you're getting a double dip from your Modestness, because if they switch on you, they switch on a Psychic, take neutral damage, you're doing that little bit more than they thought, and they're like, oh no, I was not expecting him to do that much. And then since you're just so fast, you're going to be able to hit them again. And then this time you can change your move. Maybe you can use a different one. Maybe one of the moves you have is super effective, because Starmie can learn so many TMs. Note that this is the moveset I like. I really like my core of Psychics called Thunderbolt. Some people like running Ice Beam. Some people like running Recover. There's so many moves Starmie gets. I personally think Thunder Wave's really good. Starmie is one of my best checks to Mewtwo, because believe it, like, whether we like it or not, everyone uses Mewtwo. Everyone uses all these really fast Uber Pokemon. You can come in with Starmie, and they're going to hit you with something. But more often than not, they're not going to be able to KO you. Even if, like, they're using Mewtwo and they use Shadow Ball, you're probably going to live because they don't stab it. And, you know, just pop a Thunder Wave. Then potentially, you're going to be able to go for one Scald, do about 40-50%. You know, put that Modest nature to good use. You lose the Starmie, but the next Pokemon you send out, you're going to be able to slap that Mewtwo in the face, and that's all thanks to Thunder Wave. So Thunder Wave's pretty good, and you know, if I were to cut one move, it would be the Thunderbolt here, but there's so many water types. You know, we just listed all these really good water types that I really do think that Thunderbolt is super good at dealing with them, because a lot of these things are so bulky. A lot of the time they're going to switch in on your Scald, switch in on your Psychic to resist that, and then pop them with a Thunderbolt and do that rest of their like 70-80%. And it's all thanks to the fact that you're Modest that you're able to do this. So we're going to go look at some TMs Starmie can actually learn. It can learn so many TMs. Let's go into it. Alright, so obviously it can learn Ice Attacks. Ice Attacks are so good. You could totally use Ice Attacks. I have no problem with them, but I really do think you should try and keep a very similar moveset to the way I run it. It can't learn Calm Mind, unfortunately. That would be pretty busted. Doesn't learn Dark Pulse, doesn't learn Drill Run. None of these. It can learn D-Gleam. So if you're having a problem with like dark types switching on your psychic attacks, maybe you want to go for a D-Gleam, like expect them to switch in a low impression, D-Gleam them on the switch, Scald or D-Gleam again, break the wrist, walk away. You're going to be able to KO those things every single time. It's not that good versus like a Alolan Muck, but it's good against like Alolan Raticates, Alolan Persians, you know, technically even Mega Gyarados, but again, you could still just Thunderbolt those things. But if you can find a way to use D-Gleam, you know, go for it. Also, D-Gleam hits 2 Pokemon in doubles, so like, you never know. It's definitely an option. You can't discount the potential of using AoE moves in doubles. It's pretty good. It's not going to be used in any physical attacks. Starmie's predominantly a special sweeper, special revenge KO Mon. No fire attacks on this thing, but remember we talked about it earlier, ice type attacks are better than fire type attacks most of the time. Can't learn Foul Play. It can learn Flash Cannon. I actually used Flash Cannon Starmie in my like playthrough, and one of the earlier battles I had on this channel, I picked the wrong Starmie. I have a different Starmie that has Flash Cannon on it. I was like, oh no, I picked the wrong Starmie. And then my opponent led with like a Alolan Ninetales, and I'm like, it's my birthday. And I just one-shotted that thing. It's 4 times weak to Steel with Flash Cannon, so I don't recommend Flash Cannon, but I do think that just because of that situation, there are arguments to be made for Flash Cannon, because I think it's hilarious. It's only an 80 base power move, but it's Steel. And, you know, you're thinking about it like, oh, that's so you can hit the rock types. You can Scald the rock types. You don't need Flash Cannon, but it's kind of funny. Maybe, you know, let's think about it, like Clefable. If Clefable's really a problem for your team and you know they're going to be switching to it because Clefable's a great special wall, maybe substitute one of these moves, like the Thunderbolt or something, for Flash Cannon, because you're going to be able to 2-shot Clefable with Flash Cannon if you know they're going to be switching to it. So maybe that's an option. No Flamethrower. Ice Beam's always a great option on Starmie. No Outrage, no Mega Drain. It can learn Light Screen. Obviously got the Psychic. It can learn Flex. So you can go like a dual screens Recover. A lot of people really do like you to use Recover on Starmie. I've totally seen it. I've seen people set up screens, have Recovers with Starmie. It's a great set. I have no problem with it. I personally just feel I like to play Starmie as more of a sweeper than a fast screen setter. That's just my own personal play style. I really like Scald over Surf, just because a lot of the time, what they're going to do is they're going to switch. Starmie will KO the thing. When you send out a Starmie after they kill one of your mons, when you send out a Starmie mid-game, you are going to KO them. you have so many offensive options that you are definitely going to KO them, so you know they're going to switch. And sure, you can go for Psychic, but, you know, you don't want to go for a Psychic if they have Dark type in their team, or go for a Psychic if they could, you know, resist it in some possible way. More often than not, you're just gonna go for the Scald, because Scald has a 30% chance to burn. It's your second strongest stab move, and again, that burn is really big. You want to burn everything. You always want to burn. So like, Scald's a lot better than Surf on Starmie, in my opinion. It's just paid off so well for me. I just really think that Scald's really good. Can't learn Sludge Bomb. Can't learn Shadow Ball. Let's see, can't learn anything else useful. Substitute's kind of useful, but again, Starmie learns so many good moves already that I don't really think you need sub on this thing. More often than not, if you know they're going to switch, I'd rather just take one risky turn going for a Scald than getting up a free sub. Just my own personal opinion. It can learn Teleport, but I don't really recommend it. I wish this thing learned Taunt. Again, Surf's always an option. If you can find a reason to use Surf, go for it. If you can find like a specific calc where Surf really does matter, go for it, but as it stands, I haven't really found one yet. Toxic's not that great, but I've seen people use like Toxic Recover and dual screens. I've seen that before. Like, it's a real thing, I just really don't think it fits my playstyle. But if it does for you, that works, because like, one of the best things about Starmie is it exudes this offensive sweeper playstyle, so when people see it in your team preview, they're going to think it does one thing. You can go for that Toxic screen set and, you know, bust out something completely different with like a bold, bulky Starmie with dual screens, Recover, and Toxic. If you want, that's up to you. No U-turn. Unfortunately, none of the Pokemon on this team get U-turn. That's pretty lame, because U-turn's one of the best moves in the game. It gets Waterfall. You're not going to use it. Using mostly special attacks. There's the Thunder Wave. It can learn the Thunder. If there's situations where you know you need the Thunder, go for it. I think Thunder's a great move if you can actually get away with it, but Thunderbolt definitely works for me. So guys, we did it. That is my top 5 best, top 5.5 top 5.5 best water Pokemon in my team, or in the game. That's what I'm talking about. Top 5 best water Pokemon in the game. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you liked it, right? Hopefully you thought this was the best list you ever seen. Hopefully you guys got the same list. There's a bunch of other Pokemon that I didn't really have room for. Obviously, Mega Blastoise. I really wanted to make room for Mega Blastoise, but I just couldn't. I really wanted to make room for Tentacruel, Poliwrath, Golduck. I wanted to make room for all those things, but I just couldn't find it. Maybe you guys can find rooms. Like, let me know what your list is in the comments below. And guys, if you watched till the end, please let me know. I'm running a little bit of an experiment here to see how long people watch and to boost my analytics, because as remember, this is my full-time job. This is how I make any money. This is how I eat. This is how I live. So please help me out. Leave some comments in the comments below. And guys, let me know what type you want to see me work on next time. Please let me know what type you want to see me give my top 5 for next time, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.